This is Dan Jurgens, and if you want to have a good time, keep listening to the Krypton Report.
Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action, and you're listening to the Krypton Report.
Welcome to the Krypton Report podcast. I am your host, Tyler, and with me is Mr. James Evelyn Cole, the Superman of Red.
Evelyn? That is not my middle name, Mr. Mosby.
See, I was wondering. I was like, I think you'll get this. Ted Evelyn was. It's not my middle name, Barney. Yeah, Mr. Cole and I having a good time. We started to record. We have some pretty sweet news, don't we, James?
Yeah. We just found it out, like
right before we started recording, and we were like talking about it. We're like, maybe we should just go ahead and start recording this. But Mr. Evelyn here and I learned that we just won an award. Now, why don't you read? Why don't you tell the good listeners about our award? Well, I try to post it on our social here.
So this is the Daily Planet, website. Their 2025 Siegel and Schuster Awards of Excellence, and the Krypton Report got the award for the best comics feature. And this award is given in recognition of the podcast episode Lois Lane. And it was voted the best comics feature by the 2025 listeners.
Which is a huge honor. I've had a very long day at work today, so I was not on my socials or much. But it's hilarious, okay, listeners. I had signed into Facebook to send James the link for a recording, and a lot of times after I send James the link or whatever, I'll just kind of screw around and scroll waiting on him. And I was, and when I did, I saw that an award had been issued to Digging for Kryptonite, our good friend Anthony Desiato, and I was like, awesome, congratulations. And then Zach Benz from the Daily Planet chimes in like, you got one too. And I was like, what? So then we went over to their Facebook page and then on the website. And yeah, there it is. So in the words of Billy Crudup and, Zack Snyder's Justice League, look at us go. But it's pretty exciting.
Yes, very gracious, awesome. That was awesome. I really appreciate that. And then all Tyler right here. The award goes to Tyler. Thank you, Tyler.
Thank you.
I'm just checking on that episode.
Yeah,
I believe.
I am going to repost the link on our socials for it. But while I do this, tell them what they win, Johnny. Nothing, because this is an audio podcast. But other than that, there's not a whole lot of news. I saw a blip today that Creature Commando Season 2 is going to it does take place after the events of Peacemaker Season 2. So I thought that was pretty cool. So that will be just more of the continuity like we had talked about, of just continuing with the DC universe and where everything falls. So, and other than that, we got some cool covers for like punk rock covers of upcoming, what do you call it? Episodes, issues of Supergirl and Superboy. So, yeah, other than that, what, can you got anything, James, you can think of?
No, offhand. Yeah, the punk rock covers were the only thing I've seen recently. So just a new image of Supergirl one came out today, and that was pretty cool looking.
But let's see. Anything else? I'm trying to think. We talked about Supergirl merch being available on Amazon. Still waiting for the poster so I can hang that up in my office. But yeah, that's all I got really as far as news. But
yeah, I mean, no, just Creature Commandos and the punk rock. That's about it, right?
So yeah. What is neat is, I will say this, as for anyone who doesn't know, so long story short, I was very convicted recently by just actions and things going on, and I returned to my previous job working for CPS. I was working another job trying to help kids in a different way, but I kept feeling like I needed to go back to CPS. And I started back this week. And what's been funny is a lot of people were very excited to see me, not only in my agency, but like in the court system and stuff coming back. And the terminology that has been used, not by me, by other people, is Superman Returns. So I've heard,
awesome.
I was told that multiple times today, which is very, very appreciative and very humbling at the same time. So it was very nice, but yeah, it was very nice to just kind of see that today, of just everybody like, saying that. So, but today's discussion, that would be an awesome team up, by the way, James. That's what all 90s kids want who got a lot of movies, at Blockbuster. Because
yeah, man,
because that's one of those you would go and rent. Like, dude, Meteor Man straight up is an amazing movie.
Oh, I love Meteor Man. I have Meteor Man on DVD. I do not have Blank Man though.
I think maybe,
and that one's funny. It's not amazing, but that one's funny.
I'm just thinking that maybe we should do like an episode on Meteor Man, because I remember really, I haven't watched it in years, but I have it, and I just remember really, really liking it. Robert Townsend's a very, so.
Yeah, it's been a few years since I've watched it. Probably at least 5. But so yeah, absolutely due for a rewatch of Meteor Man. So,
man, we might have to do that as a special Patreon thing. But we're here to talk about the absolute. That's right. The absolute Superman. And we have waited to do this because of just waiting for the next story to kind of take shape. And that was kind of really what we were holding on to, was when is the next story? And we kind of figured that out. So we are here to talk about basically Absolute Superman issues 8 through 15 with Absolute Evil. So before we get back into it, James, how are you digging Absolute Superman?
There's been some really cool things about it. I mean, it's a very interesting Krypton and world that he came from. The time he spent traveling in space, the AI computer that is his suit, that's his sun crystals. It's that's been our way into seeing him develop. Because he wasn't raised by the Kents and lived there, and grew up on Earth. He was already grown. So I've been really enjoying it for the most part. Couple of little, like, I was wondering where it would be going, what we were going to be, because we're getting stories, we're getting villains. This world's different, with the Peacemakers, Lazarus, Ra's al Ghul, Brainiac. We've had some very interesting alternate universe versions of these characters. And but once we get through 15, as we were talking about, it was really nice to kind of Superman get to a point where he is doing what he is doing, saving people and doing the good that he wants to do. Mm-hmm. That we know from Superman.
Right. He kind of, I don't want to say gets to the status quo, but like more in the ballpark of Superman. And we'll break it down, but yeah, it's pretty awesome. So let's get into it here. I need to pull
it has been my favorite of all of the Absolute books so far.
So if I was going to quickly rank the Absolute books, Superman is number one, and so we'll say Superman, then probably Batman and Wonder Woman. Sometimes I think those go back and forth, but we'll say Batman, then Wonder Woman, then Green Lantern, then Flash, then Martian Manhunter. I actually stopped reading Martian Manhunter. And the Flash has been okay. I liked the Green Lantern because I thought it was really kind of different in the way they were able to incorporate all of the lanterns. So, and just give them like the characters something to do. But we're starting with issue 8, which gotta go back to the beginning. Okay, issue 8. Basically, we have... Wait, am I in the right book? Yeah, I'm in issue 8. Where we see the Omega Man. We see an Omega Man attacking a big Hulk of a man. Okay? And we're kind of like... what do you call it? We realize that's Ra's al Ghul because we see in the first Director Al Ghul, and basically Ra's takes him out, the Omega Man, and there's a baby there, and Ra's is talking about it, and he says, "My only regret is that I have no son to go through which to do this. And he throws the baby off the top of Lazarus. And we see like, oh my God. And he says, Lazarus means hope. And I was like, wow, that is a character introduction.
Yeah. I mean, we know Roz to not shy away from the necessary collateral damage, you know, but to actually just drop a baby off a balcony is nuts.
Yeah, that is you've what do you call it? You've just crossed into psychotic, like evil territory. So we see Clark in Smallville visiting Martha. You know, Martha wakes up. She's yelling, Jonathan, Jonathan, are you there? We find out she has dementia. Lois meets Clark and Jimmy kind of on the streets. And he goes to kind of stop Lois and Jimmy from arguing. And what happens, James?
He is shot with a kryptonite bullet. Shot in the chest by peacemakers.
Freaking peacemakers.
Yeah.
And who are they led by?
Christopher Smith, yes.
And what's neat about like this Christopher so what's crazy is sorry, kids came down distracting. What's crazy is this Christopher Smith is very Metallo-like. Wouldn't you say so?
Yeah. He doesn't have, I mean, it's not kryptonite, but he is very cybernetic. Hello. He's very cybernetic.
Yeah.
But he's got the 3 purple dots for Brainiac, though.
But you know, he's coming at Clark or at Superman because it's really kind of interesting. He's punching him, we see him bleeding, and you know, Clark is you know, he's been, what do you call it? Hit by the bullet, but something happens to his armor. And this is a sweet looking figure.
Yeah, that would be an awesome figure to have. Yeah, so Smith is beating on Superman, and you know, he said, I mean, I'm pretty sure he was the one back a few issues with Brainiac. He was working on him. Smith told him to kill him, you know, because of all the like surgery, you know, turning him into this cyborg or Metallo-like person. But you know, Superman, his suit, you know, protects him from the kryptonite a little bit until he gets shot again. Smith pulls out a gun and shoots him again with some kryptonite. He is beating him down and attacking him, and then the Omega Men show up and basically whisk. It's what's he called? Primus.
Yeah.
Primus, is that what Jimmy's? Is that what Jimmy goes by?
Yep.
Yeah. So
No, he's Agent. He's Agent
Superman out of there.
He's Agent Alpha. Primus is their leader.
Oh, who?
We haven't met. Yet.
Yeah. Spoilers coming.
No. Yeah. Spoilers coming up, but yeah.
Yeah, coming up. So yeah, that's the end. Lois is left there, basically to kind of be arrested by Lazarus and the Peacemakers, and that's the end of Superman, Son of the Demon, Chapter 1. Lazarus comes forth.
All right. So issue number 9, and it's funny because like I just posted out our award and everything, and then like I keep getting like comments and stuff, and then my kids come down, so it's just like, come on, guys.
All just bombarded you at one time.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm like, come on, man. I'm trying to record a podcast. No respect at all.
Right. Issue 9 opens up where they are performing surgery and removing the bullets from Clark's chest, and he pulls one out himself,
which is amazing. Right. I know James Cole is tough and all, but even James Cole might not be able to do that.
Yeah, that'd be rough. I don't know. I've taken care of some wicked wounds, never a bullet wound.
He's like that I can talk about on this podcast.
Shh.
But this is where we meet Primus.
And they have a father box.
I thought that was neat. Like, and I mean, look, I'll be honest. I know there's a difference, and I can't really tell you a whole lot at the moment of what the difference between the father box is and the mother box. But I have seen them used differently in different comics. I feel like father boxes are becoming a little bit more, I don't want to say used, but it's, we're starting to see them used a little bit more,
Yeah. I know some distinctions have been father boxes are more apocalyptic and mother boxes are, more New Genesis.
Okay.
And it's the because they're sentient computers, the father box has more malevolent intentions sometimes, and the mother box the opposite.
Very interesting. Okay. Well, see, this is why you don't do a podcast without Slim Jim Cole. All right. So we see Ra's al Ghul confront Lois. And he looks very much like a Viking. She goes to try to stab him in the throat and doesn't.
Well, with this version of Ra's al Ghul, we're going to get further into it, but hold on a second.
No, very cool. We both are getting attacked by our family.
I just got a 4-year-old who's trying to have herself a good time. She needs to go lay down, though. But
go to bed.
This version of Ra's al Ghul with his size and stature and everything, the beard, like you said, kind of that Viking look almost. I thought that this version was actually going to be like a Vandal Savage on this world is Ra's al Ghul,
Yeah.
Kind of immortal in that way. So I don't think that it is, especially later on down the line, we'll see something about 500 years. is what he talks about.
Mm-hmm.
So that's more in line with Roz instead of Vandal Savage, which is, thousands of years.
Thousands of years old. And you're just kind of like, okay. But yeah, we see Superman now up going to weeks later in Pakistan, Lazarus Court Peacemaking Embassy. We see Superman with Primus attacking, and then he gets attacked by some suits, like ecto suits, and they go to a decommissioned Lazarus Corp drilling platform, and Superman has a good talk with Jimmy, who's mopping, and Jimmy starts to talk about the world, and Superman's talking about how it told me its name as a father rock. And he talks about being alive, and Jimmy says, he said, right after I joined with Primus, showed me the intel she's gathered on Lazarus and their Brainiac algorithm, their long history of atrocities, plus all the craziness that's supposedly hidden in Area 41, the government Project Olympus. The world's richest psychopath, some guy they call the Joker. After that, well, the first thing I did was get a vasectomy. You asked me if I trust Primus. If I was you, whoever you are, I wouldn't trust anybody on the whole rotten planet. So that's pretty harsh from Jimmy.
Yeah.
And this is our first kind of drop to the outer absolute world. Because it's kind of weird because the way Lazarus feels so big right here, it just kind of feels weird that we're not getting anything about any of the other stuff, any of the other absolutes. It feels like Lazarus is the world, but really, because we're not even, sensing Lazarus or anything in the other books. But so we find out the peacemakers are causing a problem. Superman goes in with them to take down the peacemakers. And they find a bunch of the protesters all hanging because of the peacemakers. And we get probably one of the coolest panels is we see Primus going to shoot somebody. We see the gun up, and we hear, and Clark's moving slow, and he says to Soul, I hesitated. I almost did it. And he catches the bullet. And he's, Primus is trying to get Superman to join her to kill. And he's like, no. And what's crazy is we find out that somebody got left behind. Who got left behind?
Jimmy. Jimmy got left behind.
Jimmy. So that is the big conclusion of this issue. I almost said episode, but this one is that Jimmy was left behind. And then, okay, so the next issue is good, but it's one of those where they change artists. So it threw me for a moment. But we're back on Krypton in the Red Mines. And there are some ugly looking things attacking. James, you want to comment on these uglies? No, James, don't.
They, you know what? They look like the
my ex-girlfriend. What?
No, they look like the Samael creatures from the first Hellboy movie.
Oh, they do. You're right. They do. Totally do. Okay. Now they're getting a little cooler. But yeah, they totally look like that. And we're getting a kind of a flashback lesson as we go back to Greenland, where Lazarus Research Facility is.
Excuse me. Yeah, and that's where they have Jimmy and the Omega Men show up to find Olsen. Primus orders and kill anyone who gets in your way. And Chris Smith joins the fray and tries to, before he tries to do anything, he is tackled or blasted into the ground. Superman with flying red with really awesome, kind of crazy cape with Saul flying through the air. And he smashes Smith into the side of the mountain.
Yeah, he does. And Smith is trying to act all smug. And this is what's crazy is Smith, just looks horrible. He talks about, I am not human. Where's the quote of how he's like, how many times he hit him or whatever. I beat him senseless in about 4 seconds. And Smith is trying to shoot him, and then we have a flashback to Krypton. And he's talking about his father says, about killing the cruel ones. Sometimes we have to be the cruel ones if that's what it takes to keep all this from going away. And he's showing him the farm on Krypton.
Right. I think the lesson there, is kind of more like that's the world they exist in.
Yeah, and that's not the world he wants to. Because he starts talking, he says, he compares himself, he says, my father was the wisest, most caring man I've ever known. I cherish every lesson he ever taught me, and every day he's been gone, I've wished he'd had more time. But my father is dead, just like my mother, along with the only world they ever knew. In the end, all they could save of it was me. And I'm not the miner in the lava with the lava gun. I'm the last beast in the mind. Then we see he melts Primus's sword. She says, you're no Superman. You're nothing but a soft little coward. And Ra's al Ghul comes walking, and we see Jimmy and Lois and what do you call it? He calls Superman's son, and of course, I hate when old people use the term son, And he said, and Smith is laying there, and Roz calls him a lamb dressed in wolf's clothing. A wolf would not be lying here, quivering and broken. And he says, "Please, I never got to fire my bullet." Roz says, "I know." And he goes to shoot Smith, and Clark, or Superman. He's not really Clark at the moment. Superman goes forward and gets shot in the forearm with the kryptonite bullet. And he says, "I am not your son." And Ross says, "Perhaps not, but you will be." And then all of a sudden, we get to see Primus stabs him in the back. And Lois goes running. And your sister and I, won't we, Talia? And she says, "Oh, indeed we will, Father. All hail the Omega." And she's holding the father box.
Yep. So Talia has been Primus.
The Omega. So it kind of, she says, all hell the Omega, which kind of means like dark side. So it really makes me feel like, what were the Omega men actually doing? You know, this whole time? Like, were they doing things to actually help Lazarus, to help his plan? Because we don't really get to see a whole lot of what they're doing, you know? And so I kind of wonder, like, were they working towards like taking out competition? Were they doing something that was helping secure, you know, Roz's grander vision? You know? So, yeah. But, so now we're on issue 11. This cover, yeah.
Well, I mean, Brainiac in the Absolute Universe has definitely been reminiscent of a horror movie monster.
Yes, it has. Yes, he has. It has. So I'll let you start this one out.
Well, so we open on Krypton, and Kal-El's parents are being tried and found guilty of their crimes. And the Science League is sentencing them all to die, and Cal kind of, you know, explodes, and then we go to Greenland, Lazarus Research Facility, and Clark is strapped down. He's hooked up to a bunch of machines, and Brainiac is talking with Ra's al Ghul. Ra's is controlling Brainiac. Brainiac is working for Ra's, but he's trying to force Brainiac into changing Superman, forcing him to kill, breaking him.
Yes.
I mean, this Brainiac that we see, he's got other Brainiac drones. He's created more Brainiacs like he used to be. But he's kind of their controller now. He's the beginning. So like when one speaks out of turn, he tells him to return his tongue to the parts department, and he says, "Yes, master," and cuts out his own tongue.
Yeah, that is intense. So then we also get Primus beating up Lois and Jimmy, which is only strengthening the bond between Lois and Jimmy. And day 5, we see Clark break out and try to kill Brainiac. And then we see Brainiac say, "In program." And he's yelling at the other drones like, "Did you hear me? I said in the program now. He should have killed me without thinking. Check the code, you idiot. Must have bought something." And he's yelling, "Kill me, kill me." Day 12. Still trying. Day 14, Brainiac has slaughtered all the other Brainiac drone. But they're not exactly drones. They look like they're bio drone, like they're organic robots, you know?
Yeah.
This
they
Brainiac
have, like, peeled off skin and faces and stuff, yeah.
This Brainiac reminds me a lot of like the New 52 Joker. And then we see General Lane shows up with his, his cool military legs. He hit a gun and starts taking out peacemakers and busts out Lois and Jimmy. And, we have Clark having visions back on the farm, killing Ra's al Ghul, protecting the Kents. They shoot Brainiac, Lois does, and they get Superman. But then this took me like a little bit because the way this was drawn. But Dad, we don't have to. And then you turn the page, and what do we see with our wandering eyes?
General Lane with a blade through his head.
Yep. And
kind of comical in that moment, but he says, "I can't feel my legs," which is
it's
because they're both fully prosthetic. But
it is kind of weird, like I will say, because it is like you said. Okay, that's like kind of funny, but he literally has a sword through his brain, and it looks like a legit sword, because like the one that Primus has is like a energy sword, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a standalone sword. So,
yeah. So, well, Jimmy and Lois continue fighting back, and Kal-El kind of wakes up from his nightmare on the Kent farm where everybody's dead, the farm's on fire, but he breaks out of the controls and of the constraints, and he grabs Brainiac by the throat and holds him up to like he's going to strangle him, like he's going to kill him, but Soul has been reactivated and says that he is getting them out of there. And big explosion, lots of sun crystals, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the end of the issue.
And he's basically like naked. It says next, the Battle of Kansas. So we're going to take a break from that real quick. We're going to go jump over here to Absolute Evil #1. Okay? Because I don't exactly know where this falls into everything, but I thought this would help. Okay? So, Absolute Evil #1. This is neat because this is where it really pulls the entire Absolute universe together. We see them kind of at, hold on, I'm getting it back to the beginning. 1951. We meet Hawkman. And what did you think about Hawkman?
Well, I mean, what? We only got the one page, right?
Yeah. It looks like Hawkman, like regular Hawkman, like old Hawkman, but instead of a helmet, he has like a wrestler's mask on.
Yeah, pretty much.
With a hawk on it. Like Luchadorian?
Right,
yeah.
Almost like a luchador. Yeah.
Did I just make up a word? Maybe. Yeah, Luchadorian. Yeah, it works for me. So yeah, he and then we meet Oliver Queen. He's on the phone with Roy. He's target practicing and everything. So we kind of meet Absolute Oliver, and he's got a bow and arrow shooting. Looks like he's wearing like his Green Arrow outfit, but it's very like his quiver looks like a golf bag. He looks like he's in some like 80s gym sweats.
Right.
We see his car, and he's talking about, needing to do stuff. This is the direction I wanted. He's talking very much like the Oliver Queen we're used to. And then we cut, and if you haven't been reading Green Lantern, we got Hector Hammond, who's coming to the meeting and is asked to turn in his device. Dr. Hammond. And then we come into a room where it's Dr. Hammond, Ra's al Ghul, Veronica Cale, and Dr. Hold on. I'm looking for it. It's Dr. Thawne, but I think it's Eleanor, or that's what I was looking for. And then another guy. So
yeah, the guy who doesn't enjoy jokes and never laughs.
And they all introduce themselves or they talk about thank you, Dr. Thawne. Let's begin. Like I said, I just can't remember. It's a female version of Dr. Thawne that we've been dealing with in Absolute Flash.
Gotcha.
And we talk about Wesley Dobbs creating the Sandman in 1939, his gas, then what they did with it, and then how they paid him off and he disappeared. How Ted Grant, he calls himself the Wildcat, the neighborhood, he eats it up. So he busts some more small-time hoods than Wesley Dobbs they kill because he wouldn't take anything. Ted Grant they pay off. He opens a gym and then he just disappears. He comes into $50,000 tax-free, and that's the end of Wildcat. Grant buys a gym and trains a couple of champions, dies peacefully in his sleep at age 81. And they talk about how the gas helped win the war. In 1951, Los Angeles, Iron Monroe, a movie stuntman and a real freak of nature. Rumor had it he could stop a bullet at 50 yards and outrun a locomotive. He decides he wants to fight a never-ending battle for truth and justice. The never-ending battle seems to involve a lot of social meeting.
Socialist meetings.
Yes. He's called before... I don't even know what that says. Yeah, a special closed-door session around the same time as a couple other adventurers of the period. Can't really make out who else is in the picture. But
Monroe is like the same room that Hawkman was in.
Yeah, it is. It does. But Monroe refuses the name. Names calls McCarthy a demagogue. That's the end of him. Within a year, he's living a lonely shack in the Nevada desert, which is actually accidentally targeted for a chemical weapons test. Someone filed the wrong paperwork, apparently. Monroe's lungs weren't as tough as the rest of him. They were just as red. She says there's 3 out of hundreds of examples throughout history. There have been individuals who have acted outside the status quo, and the status quo has dealt with those individuals one way or another. Who remembers them now? So it goes, so has it always been until now. And
and she's talking about the Gateway event where Wonder Woman says that she is the most dangerous. She arrived here from hell. She deafened a city. She became a Gorgon, turned the Tetracide to stone, then destroyed it with one punch. She also, and this is the part I find most concerning, took operational command of the scene. Troops on the ground deferred to her. So, why was she, and she says, based on what exactly? Her bearing, her tone, mind control. Why was she not arrested?
Good.
At the same time, she talks about another one, Superman, melting tanks with his eyes. Attacking Lazarus Corp. It's indicative of a trend. Gotham City, this one is human, we think, but he seems to redefine what human can be. He appears and vanishes like ghosts, and he somehow built his resources into the city itself. He wears an axe blade on his chest, for God's sakes.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. And he didn't take the money. Not like Grant did. And then they talk about Green Lantern. They talk about the Flash, and also Martian Manhunter.
I highly recommend anyone check out the first arc of Green Lantern just for the interest. It talks about what they can inspire, what they convince others to do, ignoring protocol, ignoring officers taking orders from civilians, seasoned cops refusing to open fire on a man dressed as a bat. There is order, there is hierarchy. These things make a mockery of what they could topple everything if allowed to, if we all allow them to. And Hector Hammond's kind of the one who's like, no sale, I'm not into this. Nah. And they say, send in Mr. Hall. And in comes a very different looking Hawkman. Like now he looks like the Mummy with a Hawkman mask or helmet with a more traditional, not traditional, what's the group of pilots from World War II? That's what his costume
more like Blackhawks.
Yes, thank you. And then like almost like a muscle wings. They look like muscles with like winged claws. And he comes in carrying a body and throws it down, and he murdered Oliver Queen.
Well, that's Green Arrow for us.
So there will be no absolute Green Arrow.
Not
says,
Oliver, that's for sure.
He says, this is how we solve problems, Mr. Hammond. Not in a month, in a day. No sitting around the table, no chump change, no games, and no jokes. How did you, says Hammond. So was this murder or covert assassination? This is a threat of some kind. Blackmail. What's the point, Kale? She says, call it a demonstration of what power can do for money, what money can do for power. And then the man who doesn't tell jokes says, no, not friends. May I have the floor? And basically says, I'm going to share some recent research from Particle Physics Lab under my aegis. Needless to say, this is I cannot talk tonight. Proprietary information. If any of what I am about to tell you reaches any ears out of this room, I'll take it seriously. And then we see Brainiacs watching. Says, duly noted. Basically, he starts talking about the building block of which this world is built on, the Omega particle. It's a subatomic particle, understands good and evil. You can't possibly be serious. No, he doesn't joke. He never jokes. Listen, the fundamental forces of this universe trend in one direction, and now we know that includes societal. Thank you. I'm done. Gravity disorders the universe, and so the river runs, the current falls, the yoke is heavy, and we accept that man is tethered to the earth. We do not believe a man can fly. With this discovery, we must now accept that there is likewise a moral gravity pulling down, keeping everything that is in its place. Existence is ordered and ordained. Water flows down, the rich get rich, the poor get poor, some hold the winning cards. This is not a chance, this is not an accident, it is design. Just the world. And imagine being so twisted, so filled with hate, so paralyzed by fear. Imagine thinking it is a fallacy that the world could be just. But the world is just we have evidence, not of doom, but of a natural order worked upon the world by a higher power. Basically, he says, if spoiled little anarchists like the late Mr. Queen here would stand against that order, that I call injustice. So basically, injustice must be fought, chaos must be fought, we must fight, and however we can, God is on our side, to our Justice League. And we see they're actually meeting at a version of the Hall of Justice, and where this world is so, bent, and it says absolute justice at the end. Bit on everything.
Well, yeah, I mean, clearly in this world, laws and everything is based on a certain hierarchy, and that all of this evil, all of this absolute evil, is legal in their world. This is their world. It's their rules to follow by. So if they can't maintain power and stay ahead of everybody else and lord over everyone else, then that's unjust on their part for them. I mean, kind of dealing with a lot of that crap these days.
Yep. Twisted reality.
Yeah.
And then we see that Brainiac has Mirror Master. And he says there's a name I recall from the glimpses into your mirror world. Something worth investigating. I think for the Justice League to be complete, it needs one more member. So we have some dude drinking green tea with his woman. He's wearing blue jeans and a belt buckle and a red flannel. Goes to answer his cell phone. This is Lex Luthor speaking. How can I help? How can I be of help? And he's got green eyes, red hair, red beard. So that is absolute Lex Luthor.
Yeah. Which is wild because, they say for the Justice League, and yeah, this is definitely not the same Lex Luthor.
It would be cool if this Lex Luthor is actually a good dude.
It would be.
Just because, this world's crazy. So, but I don't know. But it's a different Lex. Now we will jump back to our number 12. And it starts with South Central Kansas Senior Living Center, where Martha is yelling, I have to get ready for him right away, right away. Did you see that storm that blew past it? It was red as could be, wasn't it? That means he's back, my angel. And then she falls out of what she was talking about. And then we're back in the tall grass. While Brainiac clawed his way deep inside my head, pushing to become Ra's al Ghul's instrument of destruction. It almost worked. And my hand was at Brainiac's throat and I was squeezing until Soul did what he's been doing for years now. He saved me. And it goes to 5 years earlier over a Mayan volcano where he was going to just hang out and dip in the lava.
Take a bath.
Yeah, that's what's hilarious. He has to take a bath because he talks about how he stinks in the lava. And basically how much he's never alone because he has Soul, and how it pushes him to go, and he goes to the Philippines.
Yeah, pushes him to be part of the world. He's collecting sugarcane in the Philippines, but then how he keeps getting stronger and stronger the more he's out in the sun. He hurts someone in an accident. Then he rips a Peacemaker's arm off. And then he's at the peak of, Mount Kangar. And he's so angry.
he's like, will he die? That man, did I just kill him? Maybe he should die. Isn't that what he deserves? What all of them deserve? Those Lazarus goons with their big guns, their fancy armor. I could kill them all in a day. He's like, Lazarus means murder. And they're not here. They're all dead. He's yelling. And then Soul basically makes him the Fortress of Solitude, which is that would be an awesome cover, honestly. The 1-page spread. You deserve your solitude. He's just kind of sitting there wrapped in the crystals.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty awesome. I like that.
All right, you take over. I destroy the cats.
So Kansas now, he kind of breaks his way out of the fortress, out of Saul, and Jimmy and Lois are at a Smallville steak shop at a diner. Everybody knows who they are and what they did, and for standing up to Lazarus, for helping out Superman. They're there to help him. They're paying. Everybody wants to pay for their food, and Lana is the waitress here, and she's got a 12 gauge under the counter, and she's ready and waiting. They're all waiting for Lazarus as it is now. Superman goes back to the Kent farm. He hasn't been there, seems, in about 6 years.
It is an interesting timeline to put together how long he's been around, and he talks about not being alone and with having Soul with him.
Yeah,
you're as much an L as I am Soul L, my big brother from Krypton. Thank you, brother, for everything.
Yeah, he's been with him. He took care of him. He took care of him through space. He's been his cape. He's been his shelter. He's been his protection from the rain.
He's been everything to him. And this is when he says, Agent Lane, Soul told me what happened in Brainiac's lair to your father. I'm deeply sorry for your loss. And this is where he introduces himself as Kal-El of Krypton. Pleased to meet you, Cal. Likewise, Agent Lane. Just call me Lois. All right, Lois. And then Jimmy's like, you told me to still call you Miss Lane.
Yeah.
And he says, I can see it's Roz. He's already here. And we see Roz and Talia. And then a whole bunch of tanks, drones,
giant mechs, all kinds of stuff.
Smallville under siege. And then we go to the next issue.
Issue 13.
It is weird that on my tablet it doesn't pop up with the reread, but on my computer when I pull it up, it does have the option to hit reread and go back to the beginning.
Oh,
interesting. It says 6 weeks ago, Lazarus rolled its tanks down Main Street. And what we're doing is we're hearing a report from Lois, like a live broadcast, while we see the townspeople and Superman fighting the tanks and everything. And then we see people, parachuting in to Smallville, the Peacemakers. So we're really seeing what the battle is.
Soul resurrects a wall around the senior living center, so that way Martha and them are all protected. Superman is in the air and he is taking out helicopters, missiles, and everything.
And we see that Jimmy and Lois are doing their last broadcast before it's taken down. And they're hoping that it's getting out, that people are seeing it. And they start, Jimmy and Lois are forming a bond, and he goes, Miss Lane, when you were an agent of Lazarus, when did you first know? When did you realize you were on the wrong side? And she says, exact same moment you did, I'm guessing. So they're really bonding and coming together. And we're jumping through time because this is 5 weeks ago. It's probably one of the best scenes. I don't want to say scenes, but like we've realized, Superman's running down. He's on energy and everything. And then we have a guy come forward. And it's a postal carrier. It says, my name is Jed Cochran. I was the mail carrier for the Kents when you first came here. There's no easy way to say this. I was the one who reported you to Lazarus. I believe what Lazarus told us, that there were enemies among us. I thought I was doing the right thing, that I was protecting the community. But now here we are, and my family would be dead if it wasn't for what you've done here, Superman. I don't know what to say other than I was wrong. I'm sorry. And he puts out his hand, starts to walk away. He said, it's all right. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just need to save my peace. Superman comes over to him and says, you have a sharp eye, Jed. We need that. We could use you on guard duty. These people are all your family now. Help protect them. Help me protect them. And he says, I will. So we're seeing this kind of really great bond between Superman and the people, and it kind of makes Superman come down toward, connecting with everyone more. We do see they put the father box onto one of those mechs and punch Superman with it. But what we find out is Lazarus has been seeding storm clouds for weeks, smothering the sun. It forces Lazarus does not sleep, neither do I, but they're basically trying to blot out the sun. Because they're going to try to take him down. And then what happens? Super James.
Brainiac infects Soul.
And he says, Soul is gone. No more. Ha 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 ha. And basically we see he gets shot by basically a tank powered by the father box, and then Ra's al Ghul stands over him holding a giant kryptonite powered broadsword. And he says, you will kneel before Ra's al Ghul in the blood of those you love and beg to be my son. That's pretty effed up.
Yeah. Well, we already know the man threw a friggin' baby out of a building. So
yeah, that's true. So issue 14, the conclusion of our story arc here. It starts with him kind of basically remembering being in the field with Crypto and his parents. And they're saying, time to come home, son. Mother, father, I'm doing what all of Krypton did before me. And I'm dying. And we see it looks like Ra's stabs him in the side.
Yeah, I mean, Ra's stabs him in the side, stomps his head into the ground. He's attacking, he tries to get back up, and Ra's stabs him through the hand, kind of pinning his hand to the ground with the sword.
pushes his face into the blade on the side.
Yeah, it's kind of sizzling. Brainiac has control of Soul, and he's going to use it to crush and kill Superman's friends. But Soul says, no, I will not be a party to murder. Says, Soul, still active in there, are you? I told you you belong to me now. I am embedded so deeply in your source code you will never be free of Brainiac. Yes, but that means I see into you as well. Brainiac 419,732 said, what did you call me? Says, you were right. You have irrevocably corrupted my programming, but the last dust of Krypton will never belong to the likes of you. And Superman says, Soul, don't. And he's crying. He says, goodbye, Kal-El, my brother. Disabling processors, permanently deleting all operating systems marked Sentinel of Luminance.
And then Superman is mad, pulls out the blade. He says, unleash your anger. Become my wrath made flesh. Kal-El Al Ghul. That doesn't really flow very well. Wouldn't it be better if it was like Kal Al Ghul or?
Well, that's what it is, Kal Al Ghul.
But like, I don't know, Kal Ghul. I don't know, Kal Al Ghul. Still, just kind of feels weird.
That's what he wants. Yeah. So Superman creates a large explosion. Jimmy and Lois are helping the townsfolk out of the tunnels. Talia shows up. Says, my father bathes daily in toxic saunas that dissolve the sinews and sanity of lesser men. Ra's al Ghul does not need your help. If you wish to be useful peacemaker, you can pray. Pray to the Omega for the end of the sin of hope and the blasphemy of justice. Pray for the rise of the son of the demon. Pray for Superman.
That's hardcore.
Yeah. And Ra's like, yeah, he's just a friggin' mountain of a man.
And then what's crazy is, so he's fighting Superman, and he where he got blasted, like he's just wearing pants now. Like everything else is like been, and a mech grabs Superman and is holding him, and the peacemakers are standing around. Ross comes to the mech. Who gave you leave to lay a hand on my son? And he chops the mech down and then goes to kill the peacemaker operating it. And Superman jumps in front of it and saves him. He says, your weakness is appalling. You rescue your own persecutor? I suppose you were right all along. You were no son of mine. Soldiers of Lazarus, the siege of Smallville ends here. Kill them all. He says, wait. Let them go and I'll do whatever you say. And he rips off his symbol. And he says, this was the symbol of my people, but I don't have a people anymore. I'm a son of nowhere and nothing. If it'll save Smallville, I'll get on my knees, but I'll grovel, whatever you want. But you're going to kill these people anyway, aren't you? On Krypton, I wore the crest of the Labor Guild. It was seen as a mark of shame, but my parents taught me to wear it with pride. We were children of the sun, they said. Most of those made their way with their own two hands. We were the people of steel. And he basically whips around the red energy from his crest and get into a blade. It's really sweet looking art. And they go, the peacemakers are about to shoot the Smallville people. This says fire at will. And then the peacemaker, Joe, I guess his name is Joe, says, no, I'm from Oklahoma. I didn't sign up to shoot farmers or fight wars in Kansas. And then another one says, this is right. This is messed up. Look, let's just put all down, guns down. And then Lois goes after Primus. While Superman's battling the great big Ra's al Ghul, and he says, Ra's says, I've been killing men with a sword for 500 years. You don't even know how to wield a blade, boy. He's like, you're right, but you don't know how to fly.
Yep. And with one of his flying strokes, he cleaves the kryptonite sword in two. Says, you have done the impossible, boy. You have bested Ra's al Ghul. And now I kneel to you, you who truly are a Superman, the son of the demon. All that is left is to strike me down and become who you are meant to be. Says, you want to protect this world, protect it from me. I have killed more people than the plague, torn the heads off children. Bury your blade in my heart, or I will kill again. These ignorant animals will never see you as anything but an outsider. Embrace their fear. Make Krypton's sacrifice worth something. Save these wretches from themselves. Give me what I deserve. And he takes Ra's to Pakistan, where he is in custody to stand trial for his crimes.
And it's okay. I'm going to say this. I feel like that was kind of anticlimactic. All he did was break the blade in two. Now Ra's has two swords. Okay.
Well, it's in shattered pieces around on the ground, but
dude, you've seen Lord of the Rings. Okay. Look,
the blade needed to be reforged.
My thought is, in this universe, what if Superman just used his heat vision to shoot into Ra's and just like sever a part of his nerve cord, his spinal cord, and make him paralyzed, so that he's still conscious but becomes a prisoner in his own body that's no longer useful. Then takes him to stand trial. Because he's like, you can not kill him, but you know what you can do? Break his legs, break his arms, because he's still a beastly man that could take these people in Pakistan out. But we see Smallville being rebuilt, the news people. He's wearing like a hoodie and jeans, and he goes looking for Martha and says she's not in her room. And the lady says, dear boy, you better come with me. She stayed busy through the whole Lazarus occupation, busier than we'd ever seen her. She seemed so clear-headed all of a sudden, like she knew exactly what she was doing. She said you'd be coming. She was so excited to see you. But then last night in her sleep, she died peacefully. As peaceful as could be. She said I was coming. Many times she couldn't stop talking about you. Memories would come and go for Mrs. Kent. Dementia is cruel like that. Some slipped away for good, but she never forgot her late husband, Jonathan. And she never stopped talking about their son. She wanted you to have this. This is what she'd been working on for weeks. She didn't quite get it finished, but she said you know what it meant. And it's a box, and then the last one is him floating, holding basically a homemade suit that she didn't get to finish.
Yeah.
And it says, from Martha and Jonathan, for our angel, our lost son, Clark Kent. It's a beautiful shot, which again would make an amazing cover.
Yeah. So, I liked how that how the arc ended. It does finally feel like the ending. The arc that started with issue 1.
And it does feel too, in a way, like the introduction of this world of the Superman, of it being different. And if you wanted to go somewhere else, you could, or if this is where Absolute ended, you know? But that is where we are. We will be back to talk more Absolute, probably in a few months when we do our big KO discussion, because they're going to come into KO, and then we will, whenever the next story arc concludes for Absolute, we will pick that up. This was a pretty long one if you think about it.
What's that?
This arc.
Oh,
it was like,
yeah.
what, 7 issues, plus we did, so 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's 6 issues, I guess.
Well, I mean, we did 8 through 14, so we did 7 issues.
Yeah, that's what I counted it, right?
Yeah, plus 8 with the Absolute Evil. So,
yeah. So like I said, it was a longer arc, but we need to get Absolute Evil in there before, because it's going to play into things.
Well, it kind of seems like Absolute Evil almost fits in where we kind of fit it in, at least with the Superman story, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit earlier in the Superman story, but I think where we were and when it came out, it was just fine to kind of like drop in there, you know?
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, it was a long run of issues, and like I said, I mean, it's kind of like it feels like a good climactic end to what I said when we started from issue 1. You know, each arc kind of rolled right into the next, and it was done very well. We had a little bit of a problem kind of determining what books we were going to talk about when, you know, because 6 and 7, they ultimately ended up being 2 standalones, you know?
Yeah, because we went to go... Yeah, we went to do that as part of... We're like, wait a minute, no, this is just these 2 stories. And
they were standalone, but they built up within the Absolute Superman world that we were talking about. But the art is phenomenal in these books. So many of these covers look so great.
Oh my gosh. I've really enjoyed Absolutes, and I continue and look forward to its development. But that is our show for today. Thank you for joining us on this impromptu episode. We hope all is well for you and your family. If you check out our socials, drop us a line. Let us know your thoughts on Superman this year as we go into the year of Supergirl. We look forward to hearing from everybody. And remember,
look up in the sky!
Thank you for checking out the Krypton Report. Please click our link tree in the show notes to follow us on your favorite social media platform. We have a $1 Patreon, just $1 a month to keep us going. And in return, you get exclusive shows and specials. If you want to join us on an episode, send us an email or a message.
Hi, this is David Patrick Wilson. I played Superman, Clark Kent, in the television production of It's a Bird, It's a Plane, enjoying every minute of being right here on the Krypton Report.